So the witness number 3, which is the first person that came to the stand today, his name is Jianhu. That's the gentleman. He was actually persecuted in China regarding his investment into the G series. And so that's his background. He lived in China from 2005 until 2022. Let me take a look. Yep, and it was on October 23rd, 2020 is when 2 CCP police officers went to his work and actually took him away.
They took them not to the police station, to the hotel next to his company.
Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, and then he was not handcuffed, but he was not allowed to leave either. So he stayed in the hotel room for approximately 11 hours. Yeah. And there's one camera in the room. When he got there, there's 3 men already waiting. So plus the 2 men that brought him, so there's 5 people, including him 6 in the room. And then they just kind of everyone sat down in face of him and then just started questioning him things. And he was sitting there with a camera pointing at him. Okay, and they took his phone. They took his phone once they enter the room, right? And they go on his phone. They open the Gmail app. So and then the police show him a case file of 20 pages. Basically, case file like that filed against him, this witness. And they asked him to fingerprint every single page. And this because investing in GTV could end up in 3 to 5 years in prison. Along that they tell you, oh, you have no place to hide. Okay, we have all the information about your wife and your family and your address and and all that. Along with the pressure, you gotta do this. But what we're gonna do if you don't comply, right? And then he was released and he drove home. The next day, right?
Yep.
The next day they meet again. Okay, he brought his GTV certificate. Is it the private placement certificate? I believe.
Yeah.
And he took it from him. Okay, and then they tell the witness that you will lose all money because GTV is fake. They tell him that this is fake. You shouldn't do this. And then they tell him that you cannot tell anybody. You cannot contact anyone outside of China or in China that tell you or talk to you about anything related to this. And you have to tell the police first. If anybody contact you, you have to tell them first. You cannot, yourself contact anyone. Okay, and just around a week later, right, on November 30th, 2020.
Yep.
I think they meet again. I think they tell this witness that he's committing a crime. He's invaded national security by investing in GTV. And that Miles Guo stole all his money. He's been told that Miles stole his money. And then they want to file a lawsuit on his behalf against Miles.
Yeah, they asked him to research U.S. law, so they can get him to actually make a complaint, like an official complaint. So he didn't write the actual, with the letter.
Oh, so they forced him to write a letter to request a refund.
Right.
From GTV,
so they gave him the letter for him to sign, for him to use that letter to submit to the GTV committee to ask for the refund.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he read a letter. I don't know if we're talking about the same one, but there's one letter that they tell every single word to write on the letter or on the complaint. And they ask him to get a lawyer, but he doesn't have money. And then they find him a lawyer. That's when you said about bringing the laptop with VPN to write a letter. They give the email address, and then by this day, Sunday, January 10th, by this day you have to send. If you don't send, I'm going to give you tough attitude. That's the word. Sabrina, the defense lawyer, are the information in the document, the complaint, correct? And he said the data are correct. So his personal information are correct. And the description of incident, are they correct or truthful? The description in the complaint describes that this investment is a fraud, okay? And it's a financial fraud. And then he said it's not accurate at all. And he also filed with FBI, right?
Go submit to FBI.
Attorney General.
Attorney General.
And he sent the same complaint to New York Times to report this. and to Wall Street Journal, etc., etc. Okay, and then that's all he told by national security to do so. Okay, because the national security told him that this is the only way to protect yourself and your family.
And what's interesting, there's a signature for that document that he's submitting to the FBI, the Attorney General, Wall Street Journal, and everything else. So he's testifying in court, the witness testifying in court, saying that is my signature, but I did not sign this paper. So who got a copy of his signature? I mean, how did somebody get a copy of his signature and got it onto the document?
So they forged his signature onto a document.
Correct.
But later on, when he get to U.S., okay, this is all happened in China and Shanghai. Okay,
Yeah.
later on when he get to U.S., he sent a letter to the judge that was handling the case, that he wrote on behalf of him and his wife who made an investment together that don't want a refund. They want to keep the investment. And I want to tell you a little bit, when at the end of 2020, they left China to go to US. They went to Macau first. They transferred to Dubai and then to US. So it's a long journey with his family, his wife, and then they moved to Virginia. Okay?
Yeah.
And when he US, he contacted this lawyer that the CCP, the MSS, hired for him to stop representing him.
Sabrina asked him, does he feel safe living in the USA? And then he said no, because of people like the CCP secret police, and who knows what other agents have entered the US undeclared, right? That is roaming around the streets of the US, as we know, with the current border crisis and everything else that's going on.
And then he asked, do you want to help Mr. Mao's score, right? He said, yes, but I want to help myself. And then he gave a later on in the redirect, he gave a fuller picture of why he wants to help myself.
Like, why is he wanting to invest? And what I wrote down, he said his first goal is to overthrow the CCP. Okay, to overthrow the Chinese Communist Party. The second is to essentially clear his own name because he filed the fake or the false claim, right, to the FBI and everything.
Yes.
So,
Against his own will.
yeah. So